And the first change would be to number 2, which is 2021064-201. And after further review, it seems that the respondent is selling campers that are pull behind. They're not motorized, but under the definition of recreational vehicle, because it has living quarters, that's technically an RV. So they will need an RV license if they're going to continue to sell those. I will say in the investigation, right next door, the owner of this wholesale trailer business is the person's brother who owns a licensed car dealership, and they have been there for, I think, since 2015. They've never had any issues. The trailer business has a sales tax ID. They have a city business license. They have garage liability. They have a surety bond. And they told our investigator that when they went and got their city license at the clerk's office, they were told that they didn't need a dealer license or an RV license because they weren't selling motorized campers. And I tend to feel like this maybe isn't a situation where we should be punitive on the front end. Maybe give them a letter of warning and give them 30 days to start their application process or get rid of their campers if they don't want to follow through with that, and then do a follow-up inspection in the 30 days. And if they are not in compliance, we can issue a consent order at that point for a $500 civil penalty. So
what you're saying is
well,
is that how it is? I mean, there's a lot of people that pull without a motor.
So
if I went and got a camper and pull behind me, I have to take rescue.
that is correct, because a recreational vehicle under the statute is something that has temporary living quarters, and that includes a motorhome, a travel trailer, a fifth wheel travel trailer, and a folding camping trailer. So those are specified in the definitions. So if you're selling that as a business, then you're selling recreational vehicles and you need that RV license.
Separate from an
That's
automobile?
what my understanding is. Jason, do you, if a motor vehicle dealer is selling cars and they have a dealer license, but they're also selling campers, they need a separate RV license. Is that correct? If they're selling,
I trade in a camper in my lot. I don't need a separate license for that.
There's some subtle nuances. Whether or not you're selling all recreational vehicles or all motor vehicles, is the ability to sell some of the other within a different license. So only one license, like a motor vehicle dealer's license or recreational vehicle dealer's license, to a, but not for new motor vehicle or recreation.
we do have two separate businesses. So they're just right next to each other. And
Not like they just took one in on trade.
No, they have,
They got a separate business.
yeah, and they have a total, their name is very clearly that they only sell campers, whereas next door is a car dealership. So
And I'm confused. So do you have to have a license if you don't sell motorized campers?
that's what my understanding is.
So,
that you have to have if you're selling recreational vehicles, by definition, that includes campers that aren't motorized, then you need an RV license.
Which would beg the question, if you have there are some RV agreements that sell non-motorized campers, but if you sign that same agreement, you have the ability to sell. So that would be a question that I would want to know the answer to. If you say, if I sign up, I don't know a brand of a camper, say Winnebago, and they say Winnebago sells pull behind campers. Okay, so if I decide to sell pull behind campers, that's fine. But I also, in that agreement, I have the ability to sell by license. I would need a license to sell that motorized. So you said, does that make sense? So you got if you sell one, you can sell the other. So I would think that agreement they have with the manufacturer would determine whether they would have motorized or not. Barry.
Barry?
Yeah, I just want to, first thing,
fees. Not huge.
That's where I was going with it, because you can, if you sell one, you sell all. So I wouldn't think you'd be excluded. Okay, that's what I thought.
So is that everything for number 2 anymore? Okay. So, and then there's just a couple other minor amendments for number 43. Which is 2021074441. That was just an editing issue. The recommendation should be just to close and not close and refer to the Department of Revenue. So just simply closing that.
I'm sorry, Erica, can you repeat the number?
Number 43.
Thank you.
And then back to number 11.
Let me ask the commission, does anyone have any concern about 43, where she said it's just going to close it rather than to the Department of Revenue? Does anyone have any concern about it? Okay. Not hearing any, you can move on to the next one.
Thank you. This is the last amendment, number 11, 2021067041. The heading shows that this respondent has an expired license, and that is also a mistake. They have an active license, and they had an active license at the time of the things that happened in the summary. And that covers all of our changes on the front end. And then I welcome any questions and discussion.
To the commission, number 11 that she just, the attorney just outlined to, do you have any question, any concern? Okay. Moving on. Any commissioners have any?
I've got a few,
Okay.
not very many. On number 3, the recommendation should also include a letter of warning for failure to respond, I believe.
Commissioner
Had that
Galvin,
same.
I agree.
Did
Yeah.
you? Okay. And number 5 is more just clarification and just wondering that there's 2 thoughts on this. One, it's still not apparent what the $150 license fee and registration fee was for. It's just not plain, and I don't think it's really covered. And is it part of the dock fee?
From what, I mean, the bill of sale, those were the exact words that the bill of sale used, was $150. It was like a line item license fee and then $100 registration fee. I took that to be part of the title tag that you can add to the advertised price. And I know the respondent explained that to the complainant, but I didn't see it as an issue.
Are we allowed, I'm drawing a blank, are we allowed to mark those fees up?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I guess based on my memory of the statute, I've just seen that you can add tax tag and title, but I've never seen an amount that it caps it at, or even a suggestion of an amount in the statute. So
My understanding has been
you would think that would be what it should be.
I've always thought that was another one.
That's what I always thought.
So I would think that because it doesn't state it, and Jason, you can jump in if you, or Tony, or Denise, because it doesn't state it, I would think it's at the commission's discretion.
My understanding is we had a case like this. I don't know that it ever made it onto the legal report because it probably was settled via consent agreement, but agreed citation, I mean. It's my understanding that the clerk may only charge what their fees are. So if this person lists I find it hard to believe that $150 license fee and $100 registration fee would be the actual one. The reason that I remember this so vividly is that a clerk called me and said their son had just bought a vehicle, and he came in to register, or the dealer tried to charge him literally double what the county clerk's fee was, and she happened to know what that was. So again, I believe that we settled that one outside of our review, but that's my understanding. I'm not sure that we have a list, and maybe that's a Bob question. Is that, am I saying that accurately, Bob? Is that your understanding?
Chairman, members
sir.
of the subcommittee. I'm aware of at least a memorandum or an opinion from the Department of Revenue when Commissioner Charles Trost, one of your former teachers, I believe at Belmont Law, when he was commissioner, issued that advised that dealers were not allowed to increase the price of registration or title fees. It also applied to temporary tags. So you pass through whatever that charge is to your customer. And so I would think that would be what the commission might want to follow. To my knowledge, that opinion has never been reversed or
Thank you.
on.
I will definitely familiarize myself with that opinion. And considering the discussion we just had, it seems that I do know that that $150 license fee and the $100 registration fee is not part of the doc fee, because doc fee is clearly listed separately as $4.99. Mm-hmm. So I would think we could consider that false, fraudulent, and deceptive business practices to charge more. And that would be a standard $500 civil penalty. So if the commission feels that that is warranted, I could recommend a $1,000 civil penalty for those two separate issues.
Go ahead.
Well, did you say that those fees were on the bill of sale or
Yes.
written on the bill of sale?
It was written in. I don't think the bill of sale was a typed. It was just, empty boxes and they write it in. I mean, I can pull it up and tell you for sure.
Was the doc fee also disclosed?
Yeah. No, and that's that I included in my recommendation. As usually with advertising violations, we do a $250 civil penalty per violation. Mm-hmm. So I've got two of those in here. One for not disclosing the doc fee, and also not disclosing that they're adding tax tag and title. So then we can also do a $500 civil penalty on top of that for deceptively charging more for tax tag and title.
Maybe we could just do $250 for the
or we can
for the failure to conform on the advertising, because we are trying to change the rules.
Yeah. So you think a single $250 or $250 on top of the $500?
What do y'all think?
I think it should be $250. This Commissioner Jackson, it should be $250 on top of the $500, which would be $750.
I wouldn't concur. It's clearly deceptive.
Plus a letter of warning.
A letter of warning. The consent order. The consent order, I can include all of that in the consent order, and that's something that we can make public. Mm-hmm. So if you want a letter of warning separately, I can do that, but I don't see how that would be helpful. I think it would be more of a deterrent to include it in
attention, though. I mean,
with a fine, Commissioner Jackson, fine gonna get his attention.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, including it as a separate violation in the consent order, I think would be more of a deterrent than having a separate letter of warning. Because a letter of warning is kind of not as severe.
Yes.
So I think
I'm okay with that.
Is that okay?
500 plus 250.
So right. So the recommendation would be authorize a $750 civil penalty for those three violations.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I will make it very clear that they cannot charge more than the clerk charges, and I will find out how much that is, so they can't say that they don't understand if it happens again.
And number 10, you might get that dealer to appear and, try to educate them on the laws and all that. And I think I read in the write-up that he couldn't afford to buy the car back.
Yeah.
But how are we going to find him $5,000, and how's that going to turn out for us?
That's true, because he said he couldn't afford to buy it back, so he sent the bond information.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he's going to actually pay the $5,000 fine, but that's something that we would move forward.
Have any idea what we could do in lieu of that, or get him, getting him here, maybe educating him, and then maybe this would show that the motor vehicle is trying to work with a licensee.
Commissioner Jackson, I think it's an excellent idea, Chairman Roberts. Request from the, come before us and explain.
Sure.
Now, if he doesn't show,
Sure.
Are you wanting them to appear plus have the fine, or just appear?
Rest of the subcommittee
what's the
thing.
other commission thought? Would you rather for them to have the appear or go ahead on and continue with the fine?
I would continue with.
Okay.
Both.
So both. So you want them to appear and have the fine? Okay. Okay. I will include that in the consent order, that he needs to come appear before the commission.
Number 14, in the write-up, a statement is made that the bird dog fees are allowed to be paid to previous customers. I'm not sure that's a correct statement. Is it?
My understanding with bird dogs in the state of Tennessee is you can't have it. I mean, somebody besides a salesman is not licensed.
Sorry, when I put that in there, I meant that's what the investigator had told them.
Okay.
But they responded back that they're not going to do the bird dog fees anymore. Sorry, I was just trying to explain the
Sure.
conversation that they had with them, but they expressed that they're not going to do bird dog fees at all anymore, just to avoid any issues going forward.
But also, the referral should be sent to the Mississippi motor vehicle.
Yeah, she got it on
Yeah, I
there.
have
She
that.
does. Okay, good.
There.
Okay, all right. And let's see here. Number 19. I think that I'd add to the recommendation that a notice be sent to the Texas Motor Vehicle Commission.
Okay, I can
Okay.
include that in there.
And number 76. The original recommendation needs to be amended to say one temporary tag too many.
Okay.
But number 78 is the last one I have, and it relates to the motor vehicles dealer surety bond and non-payment by the dealer of a retail customer prepaid title, registration, other related fees and taxes. And could a Georgia customer recover those taxes paid to the because it's a closed Tennessee dealer? All against the surety bond, is that possible?
Can you repeat the question?
It's the motor vehicle surety bond, the non-payment by a dealer of the retail customer's prepaid title, registration, and other related fees and taxes. Could the Georgia customer recover taxes paid since it's a closed Tennessee dealer? Can that be done? Because it's a
This is Stuart Huffman. Can you hear me?
Who?
Stuart. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I believe that the customer has been sent the surety bond, but we can verify that? If not, we can send that to them so that they can try to file against it to recover those fees.
Okay.
I'm checking their file right now, but I'm pretty sure that they already sent the information.
Okay. All right. But overall, it was an excellent report. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys have some other comments, but it's a very good report.
Agreed. Very good reports. Yeah, I have Commissioner Norton, I have a question. There were several instances on several cases where a respondent had a dealer license but did not have a salesman's license. Subsequently, they were fined for that. My question to the staff would be, isn't that a requirement at the issue of the license that they have to have a sales license? And then it just seemed odd that when they were fining them for the not having a salesman's license, but we're issuing them a dealer's license.
Yes, I believe, and Jason, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that initially when a dealer gets their license, they have to show that they have at least one salesperson. I imagine, and I don't think any of those were my cases, but I imagine if they've been open long enough to where a salesperson has their license has expired, and maybe there is a time frame between the last inspection and that, we wouldn't know.
No triggers.
Right.
That is what it is. They all did in the beginning have active sales.
I'm aware of that.
So when they get a dealer's license, they've got to show that at least one person has a salesman's license?
Jason or Barry, do you know if
That's correct.
Could it be the dealer himself?
I believe so. Yes.
One particular case, one of these cases, that was the case. The dealer was the licensed salesperson, and he let the salesman's license expire, and he was fined pretty heavily for that. But I didn't know if there was a trigger, at renewal or something that requires them to have a license.
I don't.
And Commissioner Norton, if I could just
Barry,
jump
you
in.
want to add something?
Partnership or partnership, the owners get a salesman's license.
Right.
The one that has to apply for one are LLCs, corporations. The license is in the corporation's name. It's not in your name or your name. LLC.
And I might add, what we've done, we sort of saw a little rash of these that were coming up. And so what we did is we all got together and Barry and Jim Harper, who does most of our dealer applications, came up with like bolded information that we put in every email and on our sheet that says this is what you must do in order to apply for a dealer's license, and it directs them immediately to another person on our team, Tim McCoy, who handles all the salesman's license, and says you have to have a salesman license before you'll get your dealer's license or a salesman registered.
Okay. Yes. Okay. On number 18, there was a lot of discussion about. There's a lot of dealerships involved in this. I think there were a total of 8 dealerships involved, and a questionable individual that bounced around between all these dealerships. And there was an auction involved, and the auction was the place where these individuals were buying the vehicles. And my question would be, Tennessee Auction does have responsibility to make sure that they're selling to a licensed dealer, okay, including a licensed salesperson that's in their auction. They can't be there. So I didn't see anywhere where the auction bore any responsibility for this these sales transactions.
So the individual that was going around purchasing the vehicles, he was doing so under a dealership in Arkansas. So he is licensed there. So that's why I'm referring it over there.
Okay. All right. Case number 20. Discussion about possession of open titles. I think the penalty was assessed for $2,000, but the question was that they were not his titles. But I'm assuming based on the penalty, these titles were assigned to the respondent. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Number 31. To issue a letter of warning, including cease and desist language, but I didn't see anywhere. Does the respondent have a dealer's license? And if so, should it be closed?
Okay, so they used to have a dealer's license. Okay. They were hit by a tornado. Their building was destroyed. They closed down. This was an instance of them trying to get rid of their inventory. They're not planning on selling. They don't have a license anymore. They also run a shipping company, and that they were selling old inventory through the dealership that they previously had, but now their building has been destroyed, and they don't intend on selling anything anymore.
And my last is just a comment, and it's based on the fact that a lot of these complaints we see, and a lot of in our industry we hear about title issues, and we have a lot of title problems. And I'm just going to make a comment in my travels and some of the committees I'm involved in that I think it's relevant for us to consider. The state of Tennessee consider electronic titles. It's very efficient. It mitigates fraud to things like salvage titles, lien perfections, errors, lost titles, and such. It's a very efficient method. I know it's cumbersome for a state to take that on as far as to adopt that, but there's many states around the United States that are using electronic titles, and I'm just making that comment as a commission that I think just something we all as dealers look at to lead our state in a way which we migrate towards electronic titles. You know,
Do we know how many have them?
Bob Weaver may know. Yeah, I think he's very aware of the electronic title situation. I think it's worthy of conversation. And I think it's something we have to consider. And as a state, if we're going to improve ourselves for customer service and efficiencies, and it'll affect every one of us as dealers, and it'll help us better serve the consumers if we have ability to get to something electronically. Paper, as we see and know it, is archaic. Everything's going to digital, and I think the processes are just very antiquated. And I think we should be mindful of that in decisions going forward and lead our state to a better place.
Is that a huge undertaking? Sounds like it.
Absolutely. I'm doing research on it right now. I'm working. It's a lifelong project for me.
Mr. Weaver, Chairman, excuse me for interrupting again, but I certainly echo Commissioner Norton's comments. I would mention to you all that a meeting with Commissioner Geragano in the Department of Revenue was held a couple of months ago with several interested parties, including financial institutions, credit unions, ourselves, finance companies, and others, offering to help put the shoulder to the wheel for the commissioner. Now, I'll point out in 1996, in some legislation that we were involved in, we gave the commissioner the opportunity to explore electronic processes for title and registration and renewals. So there is the initial authority granted, and it is a tremendous undertaking, Mr. Chairman Roberts, to do that, but it's certainly doable.
Thank you. Thank you. Running for office or something? You're very astute with that comment.
No.
I was going to let you know. I help you out. Is there any more cases that we need to review? Any more commissioners?
I got one, Chairman. Commissioner Galvin here. Case number 66. My opinion, I just didn't like how this was read or how this transition was going. You know, how this person was roped in by the internet pricing, then he blamed it on the markup, then COVID, and then they said they're constantly changing all the website pricing. To me, this is just a misleading sales tactic. I think instead of closing this case, it should be a letter of warning of deceptive practices. Because in my mind, they're going to keep doing this over and over and over. And the more I read about these cases, you know, everybody's bringing up COVID as an excuse. We have to say, when do we stop this excuse? Because they're out there, that's all they're saying. We're behind. Well, sooner or later, we all know that, but we need to take care of it and figure out how we can cope with this, because we can't use that excuse no more. You know, I mean, we're going on our third year. We got to figure tactic. In this case right here, I just think he's going to continue doing it. And I like to see a letter of warning or something besides a closed case.
Okay. We can definitely amend that to a letter of warning for misleading advertising.
Maybe you have any question?
Yeah, I had one on just really a question on number 60. It apparently this customer, the second temporary tag would have expired, I'm thinking, before they would have got their title. And the statement was made, we'll work something out with the complainant. Do we know what that?
Yeah, so that is one that I actually emailed them about again today. And they said that they should have the title by the end of this week, and that they've been working with the complainant and that they haven't had it, that they've worked something out. That's all they told me. I asked them to clarify again in the email today what that meant, but they said they haven't issued any more titles, but that there are no more issues between them and the complainant as of right now.
I would assume they're on Is there a way that you can get a third temporary tag? You can request it, right?
You can.
Okay.
Well, and just I guess we hadn't mentioned this yet, but the Department of Revenue in late December went back to allowing dealers to use 3 temporary tags through the Easy Tag system, and they're going to evaluate it every 3 months. So right now, 3 tags are allowed. And I guess that would be at the end of March, they're going to reevaluate it. And they've been in communication with Denise about that.
How will we get notice when it ends?
That I don't know, because I was only notified via Denise. So I don't know if they sent out, it sounds like they didn't send anything out to dealers, possibly, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if they sent anything to dealers or not. I know they posted on their website. I intended prior to this meeting to send out an email to all of our dealers, and we'll post it on our website. And I will absolutely keep the commission updated about the status of that program. But it is through, they will reevaluate every 3 months.
Commissioner Norton, I think the TAA published an article that clearly laid out there are some rules, I think, and it's not very publicized about the tag. I didn't even know the last time they had 3 tags available. We were putting people on rental cars and giving their money back. I didn't realize I had an extra option for 30 days. So there is a lack of communication, but there was something published in TAA. But before I just broadcast, you can just issue a 3rd tag. There are some rules involved with that, and it's in Bob's publication if you want to read that.
I think it's Commissioner Jackson what they're going to do. Dealers is aware of it. Any more comments? Okay.
And I would just like to say, I know this legal report was very short compared to what you're used to seeing. And I just wanted to make sure that you knew it wasn't because we're getting behind. It's just happens to be that we didn't get as many complaints this last quarter. So we're still very much on track, and we presented everything that we had. So I will say we get new cases every Monday, and it looks like it's starting to pick back up. So This was just maybe a one-time thing. We'll see.
Well, I think it's also the volume of deals.
Yes, that's
due to what we've been going through. Yeah.
Well, and I'll go ahead and add as well, since Erica and Taylor will not toot their own horn, they have done extraordinary work in terms of bringing all of our complaints down and the time frames. We usually review how many have gone more than 180 days, and we literally, I think, have maybe 13 that are that way now, when it was nothing for us to have 30, 40 cases that had been going on that long. So they've done an extraordinary job.
Very good.
Chairman Roberts, you got any?
Nothing else.
Okay. There being anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the motor vehicle legal report.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. Adjourn it.
Let's back up just a minute. Can we have a motion on adopting the legal report as amended and the vote, and then we can adjourn that and go in.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt the legal report as amended.
Okay. You don't have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the adoption of the amendment of the legal report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. Now we can move for the motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right, second?
2 seconds.
Okay. All those in favor to adjourn the motor vehicle legal report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you.
And we will start again the regular quarterly meeting at 9:30. 30 minutes. Actually, 25.
This meeting is no longer being recorded or transcribed.
He was looking at how they changed the rules.
No, I talked with him because I had just the legal report. So Jay's got it.
Hey, Everett.
And he told me,
How are you, buddy? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Today is Tuesday, January 25th, 2022, and we will begin our first quarterly meeting this year for the Motor Vehicle Commission. We'll do that very soon. First, we got a few housekeeping items we need to take care of in way of announcements, and then I'll ask our director our executive director to call the roll. First, I want to take this opportunity to express my personal condolences as well as those of the entire commission on the loss of our fellow commissioner, Karen White. As many of you were aware, Karen had suffered a long illness, and we pray that her final days were, those of peace and well-being. On behalf of the Motor Vehicle Commission, we sent an arrangement and a set of wind chimes to her family. And we will miss her. And if any of you would like to reach out to her husband individually, you may get that name and address from Denise, and she'll give that to you after the meeting. We appreciate our fellow Commissioner Charles West for keeping up with her and keeping us apprised, and it's difficult stuff. Thank you. Second, I would like to welcome two new members to our commission. Clay Watson, there's Clay, and he'll be representing the 3rd Congressional District with the recent retirement of our friend, Ronnie Fox. And Clay is president and principal dealer of Mountain View Ford Lincoln and Motorsports. Is that right? Yeah. And he's a partner in the Mountain View Auto Group. He is a graduate of McCallie School in Chattanooga and received his BA in economics from Southern Methodist University in Dallas. And I spoke with Clay, and I believe his background and expertise will be very beneficial to us. We just want to welcome you. Okay. And next we got Sandra Elam, and you're a consumer member for us, and you'll be, I guess, replacing John Chobanian, and so that's your position, and whom all of you all remember last year he resigned due to other conflicts and constraints on his job. Anyway, Sandra Hales, she comes from Murfreesboro, and she has an extensive background with the Rutherford County Clerk's office there, and she dealt with motor vehicles in that division, so I think she's going to be a great asset in her background. And she had frequent contact with dealers and the unique issues that come about with with the public, and so I especially am excited to have her come on the commission. And please welcome Sandra to our team also. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Bob Weaver, whom all of us know him well. Bob is here today, and what may officially be his last meeting as president of Tennessee Automotive Association. And it took an entire day. If it took the whole day, I couldn't say enough about Bob and what his involvement's been to the association, and just being here as a source of information to the motor vehicle. We've all benefited from his knowledge, advice, and direction, and wise counsel over the years. To say we will miss him would be a gross understatement. He has worked tirelessly over the years and had put in 36 years. And both of us, with us and at the legislature, to protect and preserve the rights of auto dealers and consumers alike. He truly represents the heart and soul of the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission. We hope that he will continue to advise us as the transition is being made, and he becomes special counsel to Tennessee Automotive. And I believe Bob has his successor with him, President-elect Everett Siner. And I'd like to offer Bob the opportunity to make a few remarks and actually introduce Everett. Okay.
Chairman, members of the commission, this is an unexpected honor, so thank you very much for the opportunity to just say a few words. I guess I want to just start by saying thank each and every one of you for willing to take your time and spend your efforts on behalf of all Tennesseans. This commission, in my tenure, has always looked out for the consumer and has always dedicated itself to providing a level playing field for businesses to compete in a fair and above board manner. It's all, as an association, we've ever asked you to do. I would also, on a point of personal privilege, say I know each and every one of you. I respect you because I've seen you do what is the next right thing to do. And it's not how does this affect me or how does this possibly affect my business, but it's what is the next right thing to do. And that's been so encouraging to represent the folks in the industry, to know you've got a regulatory board who's been charged with a very difficult task, but you do it in such an even, uniform, and impartial manner. And so I salute you on that. It's been my privilege to occasionally get to speak, sometimes probably too much, but you've always been very kind to hear me out. My successor, Everett Siner, is an alumnus of the Tennessee Department of Commerce Insurance and former Assistant Commissioner of Insurance in this very department. For the past 18 years, he's been general counsel to the Brentwood Services, who we've had close involvement with because our self-funded workers' compensation trust uses them as the third party closely with. Consider him getting an upgrade in the intellectual capacity from 1.0 to 2.0, but he's a beautiful family, and he will. I guess the best thing I can tell you is honest as the day is long. So if he tells you something, I'd like to ask Everett to come forward just to say hello and thank you again for this privilege.
Everett Siner. I started in 1998 at this department as a baby attorney back when I was still a baby, and became assistant commissioner during the Sundquist administration and a little bit through. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I had to say I've got big shoes to fill is an understatement. But Bob has told me very good things about this commission, and I'm really looking forward to appearing here.
Okay, Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll?
I will do so, and I apologize for our technical difficulties. Both Jason and I are experiencing some serious laptop issues, so hopefully the powers that be are listening, and they'll get our new laptops to us really soon. So now I'll call the roll for our January 25th meeting. Commissioner Barker is present. Commissioner Elam is present. Commissioner Evans is present. Commissioner Galvin is present. Commissioner Jackson is present. Commissioner Kramer is present. Commissioner Levy is present. Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Melton is present. Commissioner Murray. Commissioner Norton is present. Commissioner Vaughn is present. Commissioner Watson is present. Commissioner West is present. And Chairman Roberts is present. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Meeting notice, you want to take care of that?
This meeting's date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission's website. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission's website since January 20th, 2022. This meeting has also been noticed on the tn.gov website.
Very good. do we need, I guess next we need to adopt the agenda.
Yes, sir. Has everyone had a moment to look at the agenda? And then I'll need a motion and a second.
Commissioner Jackson, motion to adopt the agenda.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. It's all approved, and the minutes, everyone was mailed or emailed. And what's your pleasure on the minutes?
Second.
Further discussion on the minutes? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Salespersons and dealers appeals. Are there anyone here? Oh, it is? Okay. Can you tell us who you are? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm Anthony Bell.
Okay. And anyway, would you like to address us at this moment and tell us about yourself and why you think you should get this appeal granted?
Well, I'm Anthony Bell. I'm here at Bumpers Harley Davidson in Memphis. When I did my application for my sales license, I've had sales license before. I used to work for Auto Nation Forge here in Memphis. And so I was told previous experience.
Hold on just a moment, if you don't mind. I hate to interrupt you, but you're not, the person that's in the picture is not the same person. No. So can we get that person on here? Oh, he's not on the picture. Okay. All right.
My understanding is Mr. Bell just has a dial-in connection as opposed to video. This is just another individual who is observing the meeting.
Okay. Good to know, because I was looking for him.
Yeah, I know.
And anyway, would Erica, you've got some information on this case?
Robert.
Or who? Tony? Okay.
I'm filling in for Maria Bush this morning. He's with a different client. So I'll state this regarding Mr. Bell's application, and then you can continue on with Mr. Bell. But I hope for context, this will help that Mr. Bell's appeal is not a fresh start appeal regarding the substance of any conviction. Mr. Bell submitted a salesperson's application to the commission, and the application indicated that he had not been convicted of any previous crimes. The commission had previous documentation that Mr. Bell was convicted of a crime in 2012. The crime is no longer with the time frame that would give the commission the discretion to deny his application based on the conviction. However, due to Mr. Bell's false claim that he had never been convicted of a crime, the commission has the discretion to deny that under 5517-114A1D for providing information to the commission that was incomplete or any material respect or contained any statement that was in light of the circumstances false or misleading to any material fact. So it's based solely on his state of application that he had not previously been convicted of any crime, and we had previous documentation that was not correct. What Mr. Russell is handing out to you is for the next applicant, not the one that we have right now, but that'll be pertinent on the next applicant. So,
was there a time frame on this on Mr. Bell?
His time frame has passed.
But what I'm saying is he answered the question within the past 5 years. Has he been convicted or?
No, the only question is, have you ever been convicted? Ever.
Okay.
So it goes back. So I think Mr. Bell is from his application appeal that he submitted, he has some statements as to his understanding as to how far back he would submit.
Okay.
So.
Okay, Mr. Bell, would you like to address us?
Sure. Yeah. Based off what I put on my appeal, from my understanding, as far as the commission goes, it's if anything was 5 years or older, it was past the time frame in which it had to be. So my particular situation was over 9 years. So yeah, I did put on the original application no, because I was told from previous sales jobs that if it's over 5 years, I didn't have to address it. So that's the only reason I put that on there. But it has been 9 years as of it would be 10 years in August of this year. So that's why I put what I put on there. It wasn't that I was trying to hide anything or anything like that, but I was just going off previous information that I was given. That's why I put what I put on there.
Okay.
Commissioner,
Go ahead.
Commissioner Jackson, can you share with me, where did you get that information from about the 5 years? Did you get it from the Motor Vehicle Commission Department, or where did you get that from?
Me personally, I got it from different sales jobs. When I got into automotive sales, when I worked for Gossett Kia, when I worked for AutoNation Ford as well. So I got this. I never got it from the commission themselves. I never spoke to anybody, but I got it from like general managers and managers in those positions at sales jobs already.
Thank you.
Any questions from other commissioners?
This is Commissioner Vaughn. I have a couple of questions for you, Mr. Bell. Have you been in any trouble since then, or had any other convictions that you have not made the commission aware of?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think I've ever had, a little ticket here or there. That's it. But no actual criminal troubles, no ma'am.
Okay, and have you had any complaints filed against you with the Motor Vehicle Commission?
Not to my knowledge, no ma'am.
Other questions? Yeah, I'm going to ask that as soon as I get through with him, with you all asking him questions. Anything else? If not, did you bring anybody with you today to speak on your behalf?
I'm here at the dealership. They had sent me upstairs to the break room to be in the quiet, but I can go down and try to grab my sales manager or my GM if they're here.
Do that quickly. That would be good.
All right. Oh.
I have a question. I have a question to the staff. Would he, if he worked at Gossett Kia and AutoNation's Ford, would he have applied for a license for those locations? And we would have information on what he filed on those as well. And is that even relevant? But I mean, it's just curious to know if he had a license. I mean, if he had the felony, he had to come before the commission at some time.
Well, I think he was denied once before in 2016.
So did he work unlicensed?
You can work at a dealership without being a salesperson.
I think ask like a very specific question as to basically his licensing history. So we would have to look that up in the core, into our database to see that it appears that he works else, and he probably. Don't have that in front of him.
All right, I'm here with my sales manager.
Okay, let him state his name and what he does at the dealership and how he knows you and his experience with you.
Hi, my name is Lee Bumpus. I'm sales manager here at Bumpus Harley-Davidson. Met Anthony several years ago. Been a customer of ours for a while. Hired him back in our service area. Saw the potential in him, so decided to promote him to the sales floor. And he's been with us for, a little over 30 days now up here, just learning and training.
Any questions for the sales manager?
Commissioner Galvin, Mr. Bumpus, you said you only known him for 30 days. What makes you think that he's going to be a good salesperson for you if you only known him for 30 days?
No, I've had him up here and learning and training for about 30 days. I've known him for a couple of years now as a customer of ours, and he worked for about 4 to 6 months back in our service area in the Wash Bay area, and just saw his potential and decided to promote him towards the front of the store.
Mr. Norton, Mr. Bumpus, were you aware of his previous felony prior to him coming to work for you?
I was not, because when we hired on, the application was done through the service department, so I had not reviewed it because he didn't apply for the front up here.
So your answer was you had no knowledge of his previous felony.
Correct.
Okay.
Else?
Commissioner Galvin, just another question. Mr. Bell, you mentioned that you worked at two other dealerships. Did you apply for a license at these other dealerships?
Yes, I was told that I had to, that I could sell without a sales license. That's when I first found out about that. It's like I said, when I was first place was at Got the Kia, and so that's when I even learned that you needed a sales license around then, because I was just getting into auto sales. And then by the time I went to Auto Nation 4, of course, I knew about it then, and I worked there from, I think, October of 2018 until April, May of 2019 as a sales representative.
So you did have a sales license with the state of Tennessee?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, so this is Tony Glandorf, Chief Counsel. So to that point, our core database doesn't show that he's actually ever been licensed as a salesperson. And he may have applied in 2016 and was denied. So Mr. Bell, you're saying that you actually had a license issued by the commission in 2018?
What is that something physical info you see? Yes, looks like a card. Like this. Okay. I can tell you that, well, I never personally received anything myself. I didn't know I was supposed to receive anything. My job at the time told me that I was good to go, so I just went off that information. I just found out I was supposed to receive the actual card. I never even knew that.
Yeah, because that's what our records show, is that you applied in 2016 and were denied a license in 2016.
It doesn't show anything about 18 for Auto Nation?
No.
The questions for Mr. Bell or Mr. Bumpus? Anybody? Want to do on this deal?
This Commission Jackson, I'm just trying to sort all the information, because he was initially denied from this division because he falsified his application by not reporting that he had a felony conviction. And he's saying that the different places that he worked at, that after 5 years, he didn't have to report it anymore. So that was the reason why he didn't put that on the new application. Now, I've got some concern about the other dealership. Should it apply to this case, that he was allowed to sell cars for two dealerships? Should we take any of that in consideration trying to determine this case that's before us? And what's before us, he falsified that he never had a felony conviction. And he gave a reason why he did that.
This is Commissioner Vaughn. I agree with Commissioner Jackson. I feel like that if he has been licensed before, he needs to call his previous employers, get a copy of his sales license, and reapply with the corrected information that, yes, he has had a conviction.
None of this was done because of expungement or anything, was it? Tony, anything?
No. Not been this would not have been an expungible offense.
My greater concern is with the previous dealers that aren't even a part of this discussion than it is with the Harley store that's going by the rules right now. So,
What's your pleasure on this appeal?
I want to put only being charged falsified application. Ain't that? I can buy that. So I'm gonna make a motion that we grant his license.
Further discussion?
Commissioner Galvin, I'm still out there. Mr. Bell, do you remember being denied, or anybody tell you, or do you remember coming to the commission
No,
and they saying you were denied?
no, sir. No, sir. Nobody ever told me that I was denied. I never had to speak to anybody before either position.
So when you went to this one dealership and filled out the papers, because apparently we got it on record that you were denied, no one from that dealership told you that, hey, you can't sell a car?
No, sir.
Okay, then why did you leave that dealership then?
Which dealership?
The one that 2016.
We know which dealership that is.
You talking about Gossett?
Or Casa Kia. Which one was he denied? Do we know?
Yeah. It had to be Gossett because you guys said you don't have a record for AutoNation at all. And I left that dealership because around that time my son had cancer, so I stopped working, and I was at St. Jude.
I just can't. We get all the information. It's hard for me to make a decision. I mean,
It's really no information that we need from these other dealerships because his denial is based on the fact that he falsified his document by not saying he had a felony. It's nothing we can deal with the other dealerships at all. It probably something went wrong there, no doubt. But we got to deal with the evidence, whether you believe that he was told by other dealerships. Long as you had surpassed the 5 years, you don't have to worry about putting that on your application, that it was a felony, that you had a felony. All we got to deal.
We've got a motion and a second. Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for vote?
Ask one more question.
Yes.
I apologize. Mr. Bell, it looks like we have at least some record of your previous application, and when you were denied, it was while you're working for Gossett Motor Cars. Are you saying that when you stopped working for Gossett, that was when your son had cancer, and so you voluntarily quit working for Gossett? They didn't tell you any reason why you couldn't work there?
No, sir. No, sir.
You voluntarily quit working for Gossett?
Yeah.
Okay. That clears up which dealership it was the initial application was denied for.
Call the roll for the vote.
Okay, the motion is to grant licensure. The motion was made by Commissioner Jackson and seconded by Commissioner West. Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner West? Yes. Votes aye. Commissioner Melton? No. Votes no. Commissioner Elam? I'm going to pass and let me come back to you. Commissioner Barker? Yes. Votes aye. Chairman Roberts?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Galvin? No. Votes no. Commissioner Norton?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
No.
Votes no. And Commissioner Elam?
No.
Votes no. The motion passes. The vote count is 7-6 to approve.
Okay. All right. So he will. You all will email him the license. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I believe our licensing expert is actually listening. And Tim, if you would go ahead and get Mr. Bell's license processed, and we will email you an electronic copy and then forward you a hard copy via mail.
Okay. Next, Mr. Bernard Stroder. Are you with us? Can you hear us? Is that him on the screen? Okay. Can y'all see if you can reach him? Okay. Can you see if you can reach him?
Mr. Strouder, if you are listening, if you've dialed in, you may be on mute. You need to unmute yourself. We believe that he may not be here.
Because you would, Commissioner Jackson, you would have either number or something
Right.
showing
And
on
I was trying to determine who the other numbers were, and I knew who two of them were, and I wasn't sure about the third, but we've determined who that was, and it's not Mr. Strouder.
Is there any way that we announce this right now and tell him a number to call so we know if there's some error? Yeah. Yeah.
Spent some time with the accountants.
Yeah, this Commissioner Jackson, I would at least check outside, make sure he's not in the wrong room, because
I would hate that we go past this and then.
Because we don't have an obligation to pick the phone up and call him and all that
That's
stuff.
right.
We don't have that out.
That's right.
You just got to make sure. Someone on the premises that we don't know.
We'll give him a couple of minutes, see if we can find him.
Commissioner Galvin, just a quick question. Do they have the option to show up or not show up? And do they tell you that in advance? Or it could be a number of reasons, but what is the format as far as?
Well, COVID has sort of made us fly by the seat of our pants, if you will. But typically it is their responsibility to show up. Now, I believe, I can't remember which one, was it Strouder or Bell?
Mr. Bell asked for special.
Are we sure that Mr. Strouder is not in the audience of the accountants meeting?
Commissioner Jackson, I motion that we adopt the recommendation of the staff on Mr. Strouder.
Second, Commissioner Vaughn.
Further discussion. Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
Motion is to deny licensure to Mr. Strouder and Commissioner Levy,
Yes, to deny.
Commissioner West, Commissioner Melton, Commissioner Elam,
Yes, to deny.
Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson, Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
and Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously to deny licensure to Mr. Strouder for failure to appear.
All right. Next, Executive Director Lawrence, will you give us the director's report?
I will do so, and I don't know if you all have had a minute to look at it, but I'll tell you, we have a number of applications when the report was actually run that were in process. We're really holding steady in terms of the number of dealers that we have statewide, and you'll see it broken down on the page before you. Again, I would love to draw your attention to the number of complaints closed, 130. That is absolutely phenomenal on the behalf of the legal team. We have they've really, really worked hard, and I believe the number that were opened were about 94 since the last meeting. So again, you can tell from your legal report that we're doing very well there. Our licensure metrics continue to be
Service on one.
out of the roof. We are tending to license persons when they submit their application online for salesman and for dealer, as long as they have all of their paperwork in. We usually can turn those around in about a day. I'm really, really proud of our people for doing that. One thing I wanted to let you all know is that I think most of you know, or maybe our meeting happened before in October before this happened. We had an individual leave who was on our administrative team who was mostly responsible for opening dealer applications. That's typically a long and arduous process, but we got everybody together and we were able to conduct interviews. I believe last Tuesday, Barry, Jason, and I interviewed several people, and we've made an offer to an individual. His name is Dante Cook. We hope that he will be able to start around February 1st. I cannot say enough how grateful I am to both Jerry, that's a Barry and Jason mixed together, for, so Barry and Jason have just gone above and beyond to pitch in. I mean, ever since November 1st, I mean, really before Trevor left, things were sort of backing up. And if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be where we are in terms of licensure. So I am so very, very grateful and proud of both of them. I'm working on outreach, and I was going to tell you guys that I was going to send out an email about producing the third easy tag. So we discussed that already, and everybody sort of stole my thunder. So that's going to go out this week sometime. And there's another something for revenue, and I need to look at it. It's about notifying how to take an owner's name off if there's a joint ownership or something, but I'll figure that out. Also, I want to make sure everybody filled out their conflict of interest. I think most everybody just had to do the one page. And I personally want to welcome our 2 new commissioners. I'm excited and I'm so ready to work with you. And I'm super excited that Commissioner Elam has so much experience in the county clerk's office, because that every commission meeting you will find out we ask those questions. Why this, why that? And we just don't know. So you are going to be a valuable resource, and I am really looking forward to it. And that's about all. You know me, I could talk all day, but that's it. That's all I have for a director's report. Oh, and I'm going to miss Bob, but he's not really retiring. I have him on speed dial, and soon Everett will be on my speed dial as well.
Okay, we need to adopt the director's report.
Commissioner Jackson, motion that we adopt the director's report.
Any further discussion? Would you call the roll on
It's your pleasure.
Okay.
Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Commissioner West? Yes. Commissioner Melton? Yes. Commissioner Elam?
Yes.
Commissioner Barker? Yes. Commissioner Galvin? Yes. Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn? Yes. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
And Chairman Roberts.
Yes.
You have adopted the report.
Okay, the next is the legal report. And Erica, you or Taylor want to do that?
Yes, thank you. I would just like to go through some amendments to the recommendations for certain complaints, and I will start with number 2, which is 2021064201, and the recommendation is for a letter of warning for unlicensed activity for selling campers without a dealer license or an RV license. Number 3, 2021062181. The recommendation is to authorize a $500 civil penalty for issuing one more temp tag than allowed by law, in addition to a warning for failure to respond. Number 5, 2021062621. The recommendation is to authorize a $750 civil penalty for 3 separate advertising violations. Number 10, 2021066981. The recommendation is to authorize a $5,000 civil penalty for selling vehicles without an active salesperson license, and requiring the respondent to appear before the commission at the next commission meeting. Number 19. $2021067241. The recommendation is to close and refer this matter to the Attorney General's office as well as the Texas Motor Vehicle Commission. Number 43. 2021074441. And the recommendation is to simply close. Number 66. 2021079711. The recommendation is for a letter of warning for misleading advertising. And the last amendment would be for number 76. Just 2020097391. And that recommendation should read, authorize a civil penalty of $500 for issuing one more temporary tag than allowed by law. And that concludes the amendments to the complaints on the legal report.
Very good. Do we have a motion to adopt the legal report?
Commissioner Jackson, motion to adopt the legal report as amended.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
Yes, the motion is to adopt the legal report as amended. And Commissioner Levy? Yes. Votes yes. Commissioner West? Yes. Votes aye. Commissioner Melton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
The final legal report as amended is adopted unanimously.
Okay, next on the agenda is legislative updates. Who's going to take care of that today?
There's currently no legislative update of substance to be provided to the commission at the beginning of the legislative session. Generally, that oftentimes is the case, which it is now. Unfortunately, because you all meet quarterly, by the time we get to the next update, it would have all pretty much been over. So. But all joking aside, I will be working with Denise and with any necessary persons on the commission for any information we may need to help us understand that anything that would be introduced in the legislature that would affect the commission. So,
And I'll go ahead and commit, officially that I will keep you all posted. I'll send out emails frequently and let you know, this bill has been introduced. And of course, I will be depending upon Bob and Everett for much of that information. So as I watch the legislature churn their wheels, but we'll try to keep you apprised of anything. If there's anything that piques your interest, or if you have additional questions or suggestions, please get those to me, and I will endeavor to send you out sort of a weekly report, legislative update. We'll do that going forward.
We don't need to do anything for the legislative update because there's no report. Okay. Committee reports. Audit committee. Anything? Okay. Rules committee.
Nothing.
Okay. And any new business?
Something.
Okay. Go ahead.
The advertising rules will be effective on April 20th, 2022. I expect that we will probably be at GovOps the month before, sometime in March, if it's on their normal schedule. So I'm sure through Denise, we'll be keeping you all in touch as to our journey up there in defending the rules.
Okay. Very good.
I will absolutely keep you apprised, and I will be calling on a couple of you to accompany us up there, so that the legislature loves to have members of their boards and commissions to show their interest, and I know you're all interested in this particular rule, so I'll be calling on some of you to go up there with us.
Hey,
Commissioner Melton will have to help us with Chairman Bell
Any new business?
Commissioner Jackson, just as a point of privilege for Commissioner Nolan, you shared some with us in our legal report, and I don't know if I think it'd be appropriate about the electronics. I think it'd be appropriate for you to share it with the full body.
I'd be happy to, Commissioner Norton. We brought up in the legal review about a majority of the problems we have on the commission are dealing with customer complaints, and a lot of them are related to title issues. And this group of dealers deals with this on a day in, day out basis. So I'm part of the committee, a national committee that's exploring options for e-titling. And there's a number of states now that are doing e-titling, and it serves not only the consumer, but it serves the dealers to take a part in this. So I think it's something as a commission we should lead and to take our state and help our state. Bob's explained a little bit of that to us earlier about how there is a door been open for that possibility. And I wrote the gentleman's name down that was discussed. And I think it's something as dealers we would all benefit from e-titling. Mitigates fraud. It perfects liens. If you lose a title, you can get one pretty quickly. I think the state of Tennessee should look very hard at e-titling to make it a better place. I think we don't need to be left behind. Paper, we all know, is antiquated. It's gone away. Everything you do is digitally. So there's no reason that titling couldn't follow the same trail. So that would be my suggestion to this staff, is to lead in that regard. So, thank you.
Where do we need to direct this, Denise? I mean, who do we need to?
Well, I mean, you've shared your concerns with me.
Okay.
I will get together with Tennessee Automotive Association and see if they can update me. I know that Bob has indicated that he's been in some meetings where something like this has already been discussed. So, and you've shared your opinions with him, and I'll work with both he and Everett in terms of hopefully getting something before the legislature.
Okay. Any action we need to take? Okay. Any old business?
I do have one other thing.
Okay.
Not to hog, but based on what we just experienced in the recent vote, the past vote with a split commission, I have to ask the question: if an applicant is discovered to be untruthful, because we take a lot of words, we take a lot of assumptions when they tell us, the applicants tell us what they tell us. If we find after the fact that the applicant was untruthful in his statements before the commission, do we have a look back on our consideration of his accepting his application?
There's a process for that. We could open an administrative complaint stating that it was a violation of the statute that I read earlier for providing false or misleading information or false information. And we could it would come on the legal report just as everything else for disposition.
Anything else?
Commissioner Jackson, just observation. Our staff has done a wonderful job, so I'm just asking this question since we got all these legal minds. Does this department has any authority of recommending any type of monetary upgrade to our staff? Do we have that authority? I'm just asking the question.
Denise is a smart one who won't touch that question.
I knew you would.
My understanding is that no, you don't have legal authority to do that. Before the fact that you could always, state your ruthers, but DOHR mandates the increases for certain amounts, for salary increases and whatnot. So it's a state program. I can state that for my staff and whatnot. I'm assuming we're all
let me
together.
just chime in for a minute. The Motor Vehicle Commission is somewhat different from some of the other boards and commissions in that they actually do set the salary of the executive director. Unfortunately, I think that may be where it ends, and not on my behalf, but on behalf of my staff. They are woefully underpaid and under-recognized and in staff. And gosh, I've said this on tape now, so I'll probably suffer some repercussions, but I wish that you did. That's all I can say.
Sounds like it would be a time of review, a letter of recommendation, for sure.
Hey, is that all? Anything else?
Chairman, I had one question. I guess our next meeting is April 26th, followed by currently a formal hearing scheduled for the 27th, 28th, 29th, and possibly going into May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of the following week. So the April 26th would be a normal meeting. The start of the hearing wouldn't be that day. The hearing would start on the 27th.
I think what we anticipate, and Tony can correct me if I'm wrong, is having a normal meeting, hopefully ending that meeting before or around noon, and then maybe beginning the formal hearing at 1 o'clock. I think this is one that our administrative law judge has suggested that we block off that many days for. Honestly, we never know if that's going to happen or not. I will keep you as apprised as I can. We were supposed to have one after this meeting in January, and that one has gotten bumped now, we think, to October. But a lot of it is contingent on the judge's schedule. I've tried to schedule any hearings, and unfortunately, we have hearings now scheduled for the rest of the year for each of our meetings. I've tried to schedule them in conjunction with our meetings because I feel like that's easier for everyone. The only thing that we ask is that if you are present for the beginning of the hearing, you have to remain. I mean, you don't have to be here, but if you can't miss 2 days and then come back in and vote, you have to be here for all of the evidence. So, but I will keep you posted as much as I possibly can in terms, because Tony's been they've been great about letting us know where all the cases stand.
But realistically, how many have actually gone that long ever before?
No, I think no, they're not. They don't go that long. I wouldn't expect that it would. It's just that they attempt to allocate the
days.
time so that they can do it. If it does take that long, they do it in one bunch. Because what happens is that if we lose a quorum of people that say I just can't be here, the judge will say, okay, today's the last day of the hearing. Then we'll pick it up 3 months from now and we'll review the facts that were presented and whatnot. And so these hearings can actually be bifurcated and go on for a very long time. So I think all of the attorneys involved and their clients generally would like to do it all in one fell swoop. So we allocated this time, and the time that we allocate is what the attorneys think is probably the maximum time that it would take to do this. But I would suspect that it may not be. And so to your question, that first day of the meeting, the idea is that after lunch we would begin that process, and there's usually a kind of an administrative start to all of that to kind of get everything set so that everybody knows what we're going to be doing for the next couple of days.
And that's why I asked, just to make sure the committee was aware that the 26th will probably be a full day, and then potentially for the next part. And just to make sure the committee's aware that's a full week or almost a full week away from work. Quorum I could potentially see being an issue. Are there any options for the committee to designate a smaller group, a subcommittee to hear it, or does it have to be the full committee, I presume?
Right now, it's the full. It's the quorum of the full commission would have to hear that. It does not have a designated subcommittee to hear those matters.
We'll know more. Sure that we have a quorum.
Commissioner Watson and Elam, this is when we become jurors and listen to these we have these hearings. We become like jurors in that situation. I've never been through one. So I'm going to go through it with you all, and I'll look to Tony to give me a...
Well, and just not to shock you, the newcomers, I've been on the commission 6 or 7 years, and we've never gone more than a day before. Maybe once we came back and started the next day, but that ended within a day. So to be right off the bat, 2 weeks of your life tied up here, this is very extraordinary from my experience, limited time on the commission.
I think those of you who may have been involved in the last one, I think was American Honda Motors, I think was very voluminous in the documentation that was provided to the commission members. So it's as a hearing. The judge will give you those some information on that. Chairman Roberts or anybody else, if they want to personally call me, call my office line, and I can give you all kind of those individual one by one kind of thoughts of how that goes. So I can absolutely do that. And this case would be presented by the two attorneys representing both sides. And so our legal office would sit generally to advise the commission and to assist in any way we can to help facilitate this process.
And again, we do expect one in July and in October. I don't think we haven't been notified that those will take nearly the time. I would say for July, if it happens, would be the Wednesday, Thursday, possibly Friday of that week, and pretty much the same for October. Do you agree, Tony? But again, a lot of times these things, as we get closer to them having to appear before you, I think they start to think it would be really nice if they compromised on their own. So.
All? We can move for adjournment. Got a motion? Okay.
Second, Commissioner Vaughn.
Okay.
Shocking.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No? We're all good.
Yes, thank you.
Luckiest man in the world.
Who's that dude on the team?